Hook. Hook. Cameras caught a doll turn its head inside an empty house. The family's only child had been dead 3 years. Hook end. The Devlin family lived in a restored Victorian on Meridian Street in Asheville, North Carolina. Graham Devlin was a retired electrician. He lived alone after his wife Patricia passed in 2018, and his daughter Maya died in 2020. Maya was 23. A single-car accident on Route 19. The body was burned beyond visual identification, so the coroner used dental records. Confirmed. Graham had her cremated. He held a funeral. He mourned. In the fall of 2023, he found the doll. It was sitting on a shelf in Maya's old bedroom, a porcelain doll about 18 inches tall, wearing a blue cotton dress. Graham didn't recognize it, but sewn into the hem was a small fabric tag. It read, "Made by Maya Devlin, 2019. She'd made it herself the year before she died. A custom piece she'd never shown anyone." Pattern interrupt. Graham left it on the shelf. He barely went into that room anymore. But in October, he started noticing the doll would be facing the wall when he checked. He'd turn it around. The next day, it faced the wall again. He assumed drafts, the old house settling on its foundation. So, on November the 3rd, he set up a single security camera in the corner of Maya's bedroom, aimed directly at the shelf. He went to the grocery store. 90 minutes. When he reviewed the footage, he saw the doll's head rotate 45 degrees to the left. Timestamp 2:47 p.m. The house was empty, the doors were locked, the motion sensor on the front porch showed no visitors. Cliffhanger. Graham called the camera manufacturer. They confirmed no glitch. The timestamp was continuous, no dropped frames. He changed the locks. He checked every window. On November 9th, he left again for a doctor's appointment 2 hours away. He checked the footage from the parking lot of his specialist's office. The doll was in the kitchen. Pattern interrupt. Not Maya's bedroom. The kitchen. Sitting upright on the counter beside the cereal box at 11:14 a.m. The bedroom camera showed an empty shelf. Graham had added a second camera after the first incident. He drove home at 80 miles an hour. He searched every room, every closet, the basement, the attic hatch. Nothing. No sign of entry. No footprints. The doll was back on the shelf, in Maya's room, as if nothing had happened. He called the police. Officer Teresa Rudd responded. She filed a report. Case number 23AO4471. No evidence of forced entry. No indication of a crime. She told Graham it was likely a malfunction or a prank. He showed her the footage. She watched it twice. She said it was unusual, but there was nothing she could do. Pattern interrupt. On November the 14th, Graham found teeth marks in a package of bread in the pantry. Small, human, not rodent. He'd had pest control inspect the house in September. The bite pattern was consistent with a person. He found similar marks on a block of cheese 2 days later, then on an apple. Someone was eating his food. On November 20th, he did something he hadn't planned. He picked up the doll to move it to a locked storage bin in the garage. It was lighter than he expected. He turned it over. The porcelain back panel had been cracked open, not broken, but carefully separated along a seam and resealed with a thin line of glue. Inside the hollow body cavity, carved into the porcelain with what looked like a small file, were finger grooves, 4 of them. Sized for an adult hand, someone had turned this doll into a puppet, a sleeve they could wear and operate from behind. Cliffhanger. Graham called Officer Rudd again. She came out on November 21st and took the doll as evidence. But before she left, Graham showed her something else he'd found that morning, tucked inside the doll's blue cotton dress. A folded piece of notebook paper, wedged between the porcelain torso and the fabric lining. He unfolded it. 1 line, written in pencil. "Daddy, I'm still here." Pattern interrupt. Graham recognized the handwriting immediately. The looping M's, the way she crossed her T's. He'd seen it on birthday cards, grocery lists, and on the tag sewn into that very doll. Officer Rudd didn't say anything for a long moment. Then she asked the question Graham had been avoiding. Where were Maya's remains? He told her. Cremated. Ashes scattered at the Blue Ridge Parkway overlook, per Maya's will. Dental records had confirmed her identity at the time of death. The accident report listed a single occupant. The car had burned. But here's the part the reports don't mention. Graham pulled the original autopsy file that week. The dental comparison had been performed by a Dr. Harold Finney at Mission Hospital, a dentist who retired in 2021 and who, when contacted by Graham in December, said he had no specific memory of the case. The dental records used for comparison came from Maya's orthodontist, submitted electronically. No one had physically verified the body against Maya's medical records beyond the dental match. And the body in that car had been burned beyond visual identification. Pattern, interrupt. On December the 4th, Graham crawled into the crawlspace beneath Maya's bedroom. He'd avoided it for years. It was sealed with a plywood hatch behind the hall closet. When he pried it open, he found a sleeping bag, a water jug half full, food wrappers, a small hand mirror, and carved into the floor joist above the sleeping bag in the same looping handwriting. "Daddy, I'm still here." The same words, written and rewritten, dozens of times. The doll wasn't haunted. It was a hand puppet, built by Maya, hollowed out and fitted with finger grooves so it could be operated from behind the shelf. The shelf backed up to a gap in the wall that connected directly to the crawlspace. Maya had made the doll the year before her death, designed it to be operated remotely, and she'd been living underneath her father's house for 3 years. Why she faked her death, why she stayed hidden, why she chose to communicate through a porcelain puppet instead of walking through the front door. Those are questions Graham Devlin is still trying to answer. Officer Rudd reopened the case. The doll is in evidence. The crawlspace has been sealed. Pattern, interrupt. But the last thing Graham found, the thing he doesn't talk about, was a second note, deeper in the crawlspace, pinned under a rock. It read, "Don't open this. I'm not alone."